Hello, welcome to SolarQuotes Vodcast episode 7. All right, how are you, Ronald?
Oh, I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you feeling?
I'm okay.
Oh, very good.
I got some bad news last night.
What happened?
Word on the street is that the Solar Victoria are considering making Clean Energy Council approved solar retailer mandatory if you want to claim the Victorian rebate, which is worth about, what, $2,400 off your solar system.
They're basically going to put installers who have done nothing wrong, who do good work, out of business if they do that.
Potentially, yes. I think it would make it almost impossible to run a solar business in Victoria unless you are part of the approved solar retailer scheme, which is, when it was designed, was meant to be voluntary.
Yes. That sucks in my opinion.
That's absolutely awful.
Yeah, that's awful. Also, when you said you had bad news, I thought you were going to tell me about how you nearly arrested last night.
Oh, yeah. You had to bring that up.
Oh, you forgot, yes.
I was walking home in Adelaide from a Orbital concert about midnight. Hadn't been on anything stronger than water all night. And that's the truth, because I was driving. And unlike Aussies, I'm not a big drink driver. Am I allowed to say that?
You can say that. I'll just take offence, but go on.
Yeah, I got a police caution for...
For? What terrible thing did you do?
I midnight in Adelaide, pretty quiet.
Yeah, that's true.
North Terrace, completely empty, no cars. Walked across when there was a red man. Two coppers come racing up to me on horseback. And my mate, and give me a police caution.
Oh, well, so you avoided jail then?
Yeah, just about.
Oh, crossing on a red man. Oh, Finn. I didn't even know that was a crime. I do it all the time.
You become drunk with power.
Yeah. Because like I'm carrying my groceries. I'm not pressing that damn button. I'll cross with the lights, but...
It's good practice. It's good practice because I plan to shackle myself to the Clean Energy Council headquarters in protest at their approved solar retail scheme becoming mandatory.
I'm behind you 100%. Well, I'll only stop short of doing anything practical to help you. But my thoughts and hearts and feelings are definitely there.
I knew I could count on you, Ronald.
Yes.
Should we crack on?
We should crack on like the man from Snowy River.
Yes. On the blog this previous week, here's what happened.
What happened?
Australian Solar Systems Interest Index, March 2019. If you're not in the solar industry, this would be batshit boring. Yeah. But for the people in the solar industry, this is really interesting. If you're a solar installer, highly recommend you study these numbers. This is what thousands of people, everyone that went to the website and asked for quotes, probably 5,000 people, asked for in February 2019, which is why it comes out in March 2019. I won't go through it all because everyone will fall asleep if they're not bored enough already. Interesting things for me. First one, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but what this is saying is that more people than ever are asking for larger solar systems. So solar systems bigger than 6 kilowatts. Yes.
For the majority of people, there's no point getting a system smaller than 6 kilowatts. Get a, do you have a small roof? If you don't have the space, if you've got the room, whack those panels on.
Yeah.
It'll pay for itself.
And obviously SolarQuotes users are an educated bunch because they are realizing that more and more. For almost everyone, it makes sense to fill your roof for reasons I won't go into. Fill your roof with solar up to the maximum allowed by the DNSP. Almost always the best advice right now. The other interesting thing here, let's talk about batteries. So this says that nationally, the amount of people that asked for a battery-ready system, so they didn't want batteries, they wanted a system that they could add batteries to later, was 28%. Now that's interesting. Obviously, if you know anything about solar, you'll know that there's any solar system ever installed in Australia you can add batteries to using a technique called AC coupling. The reason we ask, do you want a battery-ready system, is so they can talk to the installer about the size of the array, about where the inverter is going to go, about potentially any restrictions on a battery inverter down the line due to their electricity network rules. And this says to me that 72% of people out there have no interest in batteries in the short to medium term. So I think you can be very careful when you're in the bubble that is the solar industry of thinking, oh my God, everyone wants a battery or is interested in batteries or will get a battery.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I spend a lot of time talking with my parents, sometimes hours a year, and they have no interest in batteries. Everyone in their area is interested in solar, but, you know, they're not into batteries. It's new, they don't know what they are, so they're not going to get it. Even if they think it might save them money, because it's new, they're not interested.
Yeah, interesting. So in the next slide, this is the amount of people that actually ask for quotes for batteries with their solar system. And nationally, that's running at a massive 8%.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. The biggest, as you can see, is ACT, which is close to 20%. They have a generous and longest running battery rebate.
But they also have the lowest electricity prices in Australia, so that's also a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. There definitely seems a bit of a culture of wanting batteries in ACT.
They're also rich people in ACT. It's the richest area per capita income.
Good point. And there's also a lot of politicians there, and
yeah.
they don't like judging things by like real numbers and facts and data, do they?
No comment. Yes.
The other interesting one is SA is running at about 13% of people are asking for a quote for batteries.
Yep.
We obviously have, we have the most generous battery rebate, up to $6,000, $500 per kilowatt hour. And
all that advertising on buses and things.
The South Australian government is advertising full on TV, online, on buses. I've got a feel for how much online advertising costs because we do a fair amount of that myself. So I put a request into the South Australian government, said, please can you tell me how much you've spent on advertising the SA battery scheme? And it would be interesting to compare that to how much you've paid out in rebates.
So in your opinion, would it be a shitload or a metric shitload of money?
Metric shitload.
Right. That's
so
a lot of...
I got a nice lady from the government, Freedom of Information Officer. She said, no problem, I'll give you that information for the Department of Energy. She said, also the Department of Premier and Cabinet have spent quite a lot, so you should talk to them as well. So I'll hopefully get both, add them together, and we'll see.
Yeah. When did you do that?
2 weeks ago.
And have you got the information yet? Give them a few more weeks.
Okay. So SA, I looked at SA from August last year, and that was running at the national average. 8% of people wanted a quote for batteries with their solar. So it's gone up from 8% to 13%.
Yeah.
With all that marketing and all that money thrown.
And this is like the one state where batteries have the potential to pay for themselves. Only if you do it right, though.
Because we've got such high electricity prices?
Because of the subsidy and the high electricity prices.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Look, I honestly think this battery rebate scheme is a damp squib. The government will never admit it. They'll spin it.
Yes.
As a massive success, but we'll see. Should we move on?
Yes, we should.
2 stories about solar farms going up.
Yep. One sort of near Mildura in Victoria, and one at Pittsworth near Toowoomba, half an hour's drive from Toowoomba. They're both single axis tracking, so those panels will follow the sun. And there's yes, that's right. A lot of solar is being put in Australia, a lot of solar farms. We will get solar put in for 5.5 cents per kilowatt hour. That'll be any day now. They will get, what will happen is they will get a power purchase agreement for 5.5 cents, and that'll agree to buy the power from the farm. Generally solar farms and wind farms don't get built without these because no one knows what will happen to the wholesale price of electricity in the future, so they need that security to get them built.
Got you.
And the Labor government says this is what they're going to use to get renewable capacity built in the future if they win. And they will have reverse auctions to get the lowest price possible, and then they'll have a power purchase agreement at that price.
Got you.
And that's a sensible way to do it.
Should we talk about cars?
Yeah, let's talk about cars. I have a car.
There's a car.
Ooh, that's a
let me describe what this is. This German company called Sono Motors unveiled that prototype on the right, the nice looking one. It's basically a car covered in solar cells.
Yep.
Which is fairly unique. And they've finally come out with what it's actually going to look like, which is the one on the left, which is still covered in solar cells.
Yes. I don't care that much what cars look like. Your opinion is the prototype looks much better. I counted the solar cells, so I know that it has 1.2 kilowatts of solar cells on it. That matches what they say. But it's on both sides and the roof. So you're only going to get full output if you park it next to a big mirror, or maybe if you're on the planet Tatooine with like 2 suns. So it will make power, but it won't make a lot. I put a comment on this article saying, yeah, cool, I want a car with solar cells on it, more or less. And a commenter pointed out that he's absolutely correct. They won't produce a lot of power. But I have to admit, I still like the idea.
Why?
Because if I'm stuck in the Simpson Desert, I will still be able to charge my car.
Does that happen a lot?
After a really bad bender, yeah. You'd be surprised what goes on in Queensland.
So you think it's a good idea?
I'm saying I like it. I'm not saying it's a good idea. How much? I think it's a good idea. How much?
For the ugly car with solar cells on it.
$41,000, just a straight conversion from Euro to Australian. That's not with, you'd have to add on GST for that. So
how big's the battery?
250 kilometers range, they say.
Oh, best and worst review of the week.
Oh.
Best review of the week is from a small solar company in northern Adelaide called Adam Solar, run by a chap called Adam Karoom. He's a lovely guy.
Yep.
SolarQuotes client. Again, Ned chose these, not me. Not a lot of fuss. Pre-paperwork or payment up front was installed a day before promised, and although job was physically difficult, the team went about it professionally. I noticed they observed appropriate safety precautions, which is quite rare actually in this industry, unfortunately. And I was pleased with the constant feedback I received about the procedure and problems uncovered, which inevitably occurs with most installs. True. No issues were showstoppers, and in the end everything worked well. Quite apart from other trades I've used, they cleaned up after themselves, which is a credit to their work ethic. Yeah, great solar company, run by a guy, like I said, Adam. Interesting story how Adam became a SolarQuotes installer, well, an installer on the SolarQuotes network. He put in an application when he first started. Oh, Jesus, must be 7 years ago, I reckon. And I was like, mate, sorry, you haven't got runs on the board. I have no idea if you're good or not.
Experience.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sure Adam won't mind me saying he subcontracts all his installs, which is it is a legitimate business model. Some people say it's not. You know, Adam's not an installer. He's not an electrician. But he's got really good subcontractors that he trusts, and they do a great job. Anyway, so yeah, he'd been going for about, I don't know, a few months, and then he actually ended up, by accident, I think, sitting next to me on a plane back from Solar Conference in Sydney. And he was like, oh, Finn, can I join SolarQuotes? I was like, sorry, mate, you need more runs on the board. And eventually he got more runs on the board. We could see that he was good. We had amazing reviews. I mean, his customer service ethic is unbelievable. And he's been one of our top rated installers for, probably 6 years. Nice one, Adam. Best review of the week. Ready to be depressed?
Oh, I'm always ready to be depressed. That's why I read newspapers.
The worst review of the week. These people installed a 5 kilowatt system on our property. I should add that this person paid between $15,000 and $20,000 for this system. They installed a 5 kilowatt system on our property that does not work to its highest Proficiency, the installer decided he was going to install it on the roof of the house and laundry because it was convenient for him, not for us, the client. Just so they did not have to supply extra cabling from the shed that it is best for, which is what was quoted for. The quote was not altered to suit the installation on the house and laundry. They installed it on a roof directly under a massive bush. There's not a lot good about this review.
No, not at all.
That now has to be ruined just to receive any benefit at all, so I imagine they have to cut it back. When we called the installer back for a consultation and explained that the system clearly does not work properly, he argued for ages with us, would not listen to our situation, and my husband sent him packing and told him never come to our property again. We made a complaint about him, but to no avail. And this person also says that they got a proper installer around who said that the install's a mess and he could have done it for half the price. And that's not a bargain basement installer, that's, you know, just a good middle of the ground installer. The company is a company called Modern Solar. Anyone who's been in the industry for very long will know that there's no shortage of bad reviews of Modern Solar online. Yeah, so they quoted him a system in one wet place and put it in a different place.
Yeah, but the system cost a massive amount. So it should have been covered in gold leaf, not...
well, it should have been installed on where they said, promised to install it.
Yeah, to start with,
I mean, this person has some comeback under the law, surely.
Oh, definitely. They have to get what they're quoted for. And it has to be to Australian standards. So they definitely they can definitely take that to a small consumer tribunal, small claims court.
Yeah.
They're well within their rights to either get it brought up to what they were paid for, or if they refuse to do that, well, they can take the whole system down and give them their money back.
I mean, if you're going to charge someone between 15 and 20 grand for a 5 kilowatt system, you've got the margin there to do a fantastic job and engage the best installers. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Not that I'm condoning charging that kind of money for a 5 kilowatt system, unless it's
top of the line, perfect.
Yeah, or on the space shuttle or something.
Yes.
Moving on.
This is something which has been talked about for a long time.
Esperance farms to go off grid with solar and storage and generators. So one of the edge cases where going off grid makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So in Western Australia and Queensland particularly, there's examples in Western Australia, they've been looking at taking remote farms and communities off grid by giving them solar panels, batteries, and a generator setup. And that will run them off grid, hopefully with very little generator use. And you can then take down the wires connecting to the grid, roll them up, use them for repair work later.
There's 54 kilometres of transmission line, distribution line they can...
That's valuable. Oh, I shouldn't say that. That's valuable stuff.
Is that what you do at night? Pull copper out of building sites?
Not anymore.
Don't we pay you enough?
Yeah. Anyway, you take these places off grid. It saves a heap of money for, in this case, Horizon. They're in charge of keeping the power going to these remote places in Western Australia. So they're paying less. So the people in Western Australia have to pay less for their electricity. Meanwhile, these farms, they get a reliable electricity supply because they're always having faults occur because those lines keep coming down and it takes forever sometimes to get them fixed. And they're paying the same as they were before. So
and lower bushfire risk.
Lower bushfire risk. It's win-win.
It's good. Yeah, these guys are just paying what they normally paid per kilowatt hour, and Horizon are taking care of all the maintenance, topping up all the diesel, everything.
The only disadvantage is they can't send surplus solar into the grid, but it's not good. They were never going to squeeze much through those lines anyway, probably. Yeah.
One of the rare cases where going off grid makes sense. So should I take my house in the city off grid?
Hell no.
Glad you said that.
Makes no sense at all.
No, if you've got a good grid connection, don't go off grid.
Send your surplus electricity into the grid. It lowers it for everyone, the cost of electricity for everyone, those in flats and so on who don't have their own solar, and it's great for the environment.
Next, solar and battery upgrade for Mount Frankland Communications Tower. This looks like a really boring post, but it's actually really interesting if you read it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me, and you pointed this out, because look at the solar panels they're replacing. So you got on the bottom here, the ones that still look brand new are BP solar panels. Used to be made in Homebush in Sydney. They shut down the factory in 2008, so they're at least 11 years old.
So those things, which look all shiny and new, are 11 years old minimum.
Check out the square solar panels above with like the randomly oriented bus bars and the what's that grimy stuff?
That's lichen. You know, life finds a way, and in this case it's growing on the solar panels. I'm really surprised it's growing in Western Australia. I thought, you know, that'd just be too harsh for it to grow, but clearly tough stuff there.
And if you look hard, you can see snail trails.
Yep. Not caused by actual snails?
No. So the top solar panels are absolutely fucked. But then, they're super, super early panels, those.
Yeah, they're square to begin with. Who makes square panels these days?
So as you can see, they've left the BP solar panels at the bottom alone. So they're still going strong after at least 11 years, and they've replaced them with some...
yes, the square ones have been replaced with, I don't know what they are, but obviously, I
36
presume...
cell.
Yeah. We could try to find out what they are. It'd be very difficult. They obviously trust those because clearly they don't want to come back for another 20 years. So.
Yep. And just one more thing about the batteries.
Yep, those are lead acid batteries. They're still using lead acid batteries. They would, of course, had to replace the batteries at some point. Off-grid installations, lead acid batteries still being used. If I was moving into off-grid property, I would try lithium ion, but you know, I'm young and crazy and I like trying new things. Plenty of people sticking with lead acid off-grid.
Young?
I'm 46. That's 46 is the new 47.
Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah.
Tongwei Solar, the biggest solar company you've never heard of. So I asked you to write this because I saw it in 2018, but it predicted that Tongwei would be the biggest producer of silicon cells in the world in 2018. I think they did end up being that, but I'd never heard of them.
Yeah, neither had I.
Now you know all about them.
Oh, well, I know a lot more about them. I don't know all about them. I'm sure they have their secrets.
What are the highlights?
They produce a massive amount of solar cells by purchasing silicon ingots from manufacturers of ingots using the unpronounceable Polish name process, and they cut them up into silicon solar cells. And at the moment they produce 12 gigawatts of solar cells a year.
Chawansky or something?
I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'll just make Polish people cry.
I should know how to pronounce it because I used to design the software for machines that grow crystals using that method.
Oh, right.
Not in solar, for what they call MRI machines.
Oh.
Wine bottle sized, I don't know why I've got my hand like that. I'm pretending I'm holding a wine bottle.
Right.
Wine bottle sized sapphires. I used to do the control systems on the machines that grew those.
Yeah.
Took 2 weeks to grow one.
Do they use that for like the windows in the MRI machines?
They chop them into little cubes and then put them in arrays, matrices, whatever you want to call them, and shine light through them, and they do something to the light.
Oh, that's amazing. And I understand that's what Scotty used in Star Trek 4 for his transparent aluminium.
And it was a Scottish company.
Well, there you go. It's interesting.
And I was fired from that job. That's another story.
Did you drop his his sapphire and break it?
No.
Or did you notice your girl in town wearing these massive sapphire jewelry rings and things? You don't have to tell us. We can think of things which are no doubt worse.
That's why I came to Australia. I got fired from that job. I was in Glasgow. It was raining. I was like, fuck this. Let's go to Australia. True story.
That's what happened to my father, actually. Except the Australian government invited him here.
Yeah, right. Cool. Anything else about Tongwei?
Well, I couldn't find a company song anywhere on their site.
That's unusual for a Chinese company.
Well, it's not it happens. It's sad, though, because I think that Chinese company songs are one of the greatest forms of art humanity has ever created. They're brilliant. They're right up there with Meatloaf.
And that's why you wrote one.
That's why I wrote one for them. And Tongwei, you're free to use this. Please take it. I want to hear all 6,000 of your employees singing it in unison one day soon.
That would be a beautiful thing.
It's all about cutting silicon.
You're going to sing it for us?
Oh, definitely. I have a wonderful voice. Cut your silicon ingot, silicon cutter. You're a solar cell making master, silicon cutter. You're a silicon cutter. Yes, it's true. Nobody cuts silicon quite like you.
That was beautiful, Ronald.
Oh, thank you. I tried.
You've got a nice voice.
You're lying.
No, yeah, I'm actually not taking the piss there. I think you've got a nice voice. What do you reckon, Jono? Thumbs up from Jono. Okay, last...
That's the first time anyone's ever complimented my singing. I will point that out.
Last post of the week that we're going to talk about anyway. Yep. Hanwha Q-Cells claims patent infringement by Jinko, Longi and REC.
Ooh. So do you think there's any merit to this claim?
I have absolutely no idea.
I have no idea either. I know nothing about this. But while I know nothing about this case, I do know there's a lot of stupid patent litigation going on in the world. Most of it's in the United States. So, you know, they've really screwed up their patents in the US. And we should take care that doesn't happen here. And it is affecting the rest of the world.
I think it's really sad.
Yeah, well.
You know, we're facing this massive urgent problem where we need to accelerate the deployment of solar.
Yes.
And they're talking about, well, they're squabbling and talking about Q-Cells. Hanwha Q-Cells want to destroy a whole bunch of, I guess, wreck Longi and Jinko solar panels.
They're not just asking for money. They actually want to destroy perfectly good panels. Hopefully perfectly good panels.
Yep. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Oh, that sucks balls.
Maybe.
Think of all the silicon they're going to have to cut to make up for that. It's terrible.
But yeah, you know, maybe Hanwha are looking for a market for all their munitions.
Ah, yes, the old cluster bombs.
Yeah. So they could use their cluster bombs to destroy the solar panels.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. You're always thinking efficiently. You're an optimizing kind of guy, you know. This is what leads to success.
I think that's the end.
Any
final words?
No, just, you know, if you want to pay me royalties for the Silicon Cutter song, that's fine. Or we could give them to charity, either one. I'm good with it.